Hello, Vinnie. I'm Cristina Goldt. To those of you listening, thanks for having me today. And I'm the general manager of our talent products here at Workday. And that's, I'd like to say, all the cool products, but it really is all the products that allow us to identify, develop, and optimize talent. So that's recruiting, talent performance, learning, and total reward. So compensation and benefits are the products that I look after. But I think as you well know, all our products are interconnected. So we all use the same platform and really benefit from the fact that we are all kind of that connected experience. And today I'm really delighted to share some of what we're doing and investing in skills, kind of the momentum, what we're hearing from some of our customers, and really where we're seeing skills-based people practices and how people are trying to transform their organizations to be more skill-based and how it is really taking over some of the people strategies that we're seeing.
Great, thank you.
All right, so of course, safe harbor statement. We'll be talking about some of the things that we're doing, that we are building, but there's a lot that we are that is already available today, as you probably saw from our recent press release on skills. Some of the information, I'll just quickly go through this. I think everybody knows skills is a hot topic. I think, you've been covering this space for a very long time. I've been in this space for a long time. Skills is probably the biggest shift, if you will, or change that we've seen in HR and people practices in decades. So it's and timely in the sense that we're seeing that building critical skills is really important in organizations. Keeping people, we hear about the Great Resignation, right? Where building skills in organizations and giving people that growth and development is going to be key to retention. And internal mobility skills help with that. So there's so much that skills can do. And I think we're finally at a point in time where technology has allowed us to really solve some of the data problem that was there with skills. And clearly at Workday, it's something that we've been, we've invested in. I actually have a timeline to show you over time and just the work that we've done there. So, we see kind of what we're seeing in the world of talent, but skills, there is a skills imperative in terms of a single source of truth for capability of the workforce and understanding, what skills people have so that you can then figure out, where do I go? Like when you think about planning. And then when I think about just the opportunity and visibility and transparency, skills allow for that transparency in what might be available and what people might aspire to and how they get there. So from an inclusivity and giving people that chance, I think skills help democratize that opportunity. And then when we think about work today, it's not, it's really no longer just jobs and roles. It's bodies of work and things that people are doing. And, in terms of matching people to work, skills become a really great way to do that, to understand, like, do I have what I need based on what I'm trying to get done? We see jobs change, and then of course skills change at a really furious pace. So with all of that, I think ultimately, it's not a learning problem or a recruiting problem or a talent problem. It is a holistic problem across the employee lifecycle or the talent lifecycle, and really starts with that single source of truth, to understanding what you have. So, and I think a couple of studies that we've seen too is that many organizations don't even know where to start because they have that data challenge. And being able to understand that single source becomes really important. And I think that's where we started, and that's where we continue to invest. I think you've seen some version of this in the past, but I figured I'd step back a little. When we say Skills Cloud, what are the pieces that we're thinking about here? And ultimately, we started with that ontology, understanding, managing the millions of skills and skill variants that we saw out there. It is a data problem and a messy one, to begin with. And I think it also, for anybody who's worked on any type of taxonomy or being able to measure and quantify these things, ultimately, if it isn't dynamic and isn't continually self-administering and growing based on what is happening in the organization, then it's limited and dated from the minute it's done. And so that's where we really felt, all right, not only we have to understand that we're talking about the same things, but we need to create something that will continually, that won't be that burden in terms of administration.
Two questions. Do you know how many skills you're up to now? And second question is, when you kicked this off a few years ago, I forget who, I think it was Leanne who said, Vinnie, we feel fairly confident the skills will go down. Right now it's messy because we're collecting it from so many different sources. Once we get a proper taxonomy, once you start to standardize stuff, it should go down. So answer both questions.
Yes, no, so yes, we have where we're at now is 47,000 what we're calling canonicals of skills. And when we first started, where we looked at kind of just the individual data points, we were looking at over 2 million to start, and then we're able to reduce that down to 55,000. And since then, we're now down to 47,000.
Okay.
So we are seeing it go down, but that doesn't mean that we're just removing skills. We're adding,
yeah, sure.
We're also adding skills.
So I have another question. So the Bureau of Labor Statistics, I think, has 800 some occupations. These 47,000 are mostly white collar, right? Or are they across blue collar, trade fields and so on? What would you say?
So they're across all of the different organizations and industries that are participating in the Skills Cloud.
It's not everybody. Okay.
So it isn't everybody, but I will say, I mean, we had to start with something before our customers started contributing. So we do take information from other sources and bring it in to enrich the Skills Cloud.
Yep.
So, I would say industry is definitely an area of opportunity to continue to refine industry specific skills.
You may want to match them to the BLS occupation code. Because if you can do that, then the next generation of automation and so on will be able to use the skill information also.
Yeah, no, definitely, and it's machine learning, so we're learning as we go and continued to refine and increase the robustness of our skills data.
Yep.
So we started with that ontology. The next phase was, well, how do we make sure that we have the employees' information about skills? We often hear that like it's great that you have this nice pristine data set, but I can't even get my people to enter their skills. So if I can't do that, how do I know what I really have in my organization? And so that's where, we're very fortunate that because this is kind of immersed in all the things that we're doing, all the data that we have on the 50 plus million workers, that we're able to use that data to infer skills and then present that to people as they go through the product, as they do different things. We're able to say, well, we think you have this skill. At the end of the day, we want them to have the control as to what's on their profile, but make it possible and easy for them to continue to update it. So inferring skills from all the data that we have.
Who's responsible for the data quality? Do they audit it? Do individuals map it to theirs? Who does the data quality?
So in terms of the data quality and an individual and the skills on their profile, the individual has the ultimate responsibility at the end of the day, right? Where they get the suggestions, they can easily add those suggestions. We show them where the suggestions are coming from. And even as we get to skill level, so rating skills, there's transparency there as well, but there's other folks coming in to say, yes, I think this person has this skill, or they've exhibited this skill. I've worked with them from that skill.
And are you able to measure the level of error in the machine learning? Because they'll say, no, this was, 7 out of 10 were right. Have you done any kind of analysis of what the error is?
So yes, we have, and I think error maybe is a little bit it's not quite error, but it's like relevance maybe, right? Do they think that skill is relevant to them or not? Where yes, we are looking at that. There's also where we do it in the background, I would say. We're also looking at how do we allow them to give us feedback that they thought that it's relevant or not. So that's work that's currently underway. So inference, I think very, very important to automate and scale, continue to scale, right, with that. And then the next is what I was already talking about here with ratings, understanding the strength of a skill. Like, is somebody strong in a skill or not? And to what level? When we think about ultimately people using this to match people to work, understanding if they're using it for staffing, they may need to understand different levels. So that's work skill rating is one of the things we do. And then I think the last piece here is, making sure that skill, like we are infusing skills throughout all of the things that we're doing in Workday. And I think we do believe that it changes the experience, that it does allow you to create that personalized experience, allows you to define that growth experience, but also for the organization to allow for agility, where you understand in terms of planning and making decisions based on skills. So this is kind of the trajectory of what we've been working on. But I figured I'd lay the foundation here. And this shows you kind of where we're at in terms of momentum. So, those different layers that I talked about, if I go back in time, and Vinnie, I know you've followed us throughout this, we really started on our skills work and our skills cloud work with our acquisition of Identified back in 2014.
Yep.
So it took us, we acquired them. We also acquired another company called Skipflag, and then began to build our skills graph. Our Rally Team acquisition in 2018, added in here when we think about where this shows up in Career Hub, Talent Marketplace, but they also brought that kind of matching, that matching know-how. And you'll see
out of these 1,000, what would you say?
Pardon?
If you were to look at these 1,000, how many of them are contributing back versus just using what you have? Would you say it's everybody, or only a small percentage actually is active and contributing?
I would say everybody is contributing back to the Skills Cloud. So, it's a give to get model in terms of how we're set up, and definitely we are seeing that. The other thing to note is we allow them, our customers are using Skills Cloud and the skills in the Skills Cloud. And then they may also have skills that are just specific to them, sure, which are what we call the tenanted skills. And we're seeing where they're setting up tenanted skills, but ultimately those tenanted skills, depending on if we're seeing some mass in them, are moving into the Skills Cloud. So we're seeing a nice amount of contribution, I would say, from our market.
That's very good. In many communities, it's usually just take rather than give. So it's very encouraging.
Yeah, no, we're very encouraged. I will use your language in terms of how our customers are using the Skills Cloud. And you'll notice as you see the dates and you see those numbers underneath show you kind of the progression. And then you see some of the things that we've done. Really, it's as we've added value and we've actually showed how we're using skills within the application and done additional things like translations, things like the skill rating, et cetera, skill categories to allow for easier reporting and grouping, critical skills. That's where we're seeing the adoption continue to increase, because it adds, it's not now no longer just an ontology or just a listing of skills. They're now actually being able to use it in their business, whether it's in recruiting. And I actually have some slides too that show how this shows up in recruiting, how it shows up in learning, how it shows up in talent and development. And as we've added those, I think that's where we're really seeing, I would say probably every week another customer turning the Skills Cloud on. Point here is we've been at it for a while. And the foundation that we built, I think, is very strong. We had to get the plumbing right in order to be able to do all the things that we are now doing today. And I think really, especially in the last year, we've seen, not only have we seen good growth in the Skills Cloud, a number of people using it, but that's because of all the different things we've done here with the recommendations that we're using for skills throughout, and really kind of improving the experience using skills.
Great.
So when we think about some of our customers using the Skills Cloud and what they've seen, you know, I have some examples here of some of the benefits. You know, skills coverage, and when I say skills coverage, that's skills on worker profiles. And you know, for some of our customers, before they even began, before they turned on the Skills Cloud and began using the Skills Cloud, they would probably say that their coverage was right. Most of our customers are on 10-15%. But we're seeing coverage, this example here of Patagonia is from 25% to 73% skills coverage. And some of our customers are seeing even more of that because we're making it easy, right, to put it on your profile. And that way, you know what skills people have. You know, other customers, I think just the reduction in noise where, you know, 800 versions of communication going down to one. And this is the thing we knew and why we called it a data problem is you had so many skills and skill variants, but you were really talking about the same thing. And there was no way to rate it, compare it, use it for matching until we got it down to one. I think the number here on the bottom is pretty significant in terms of, you know, in the last 3 years, we went to 25 million and that's skills on workers in Workday to now 2 billion. So those 1,000 customers on the Skills Cloud, there's 2 billion skills on workers. So that's not unique skills, but 2 billion skills on workers. So definitely using skills, and we see it continuing to grow. And then, you know, people using the applications that use skills.
Do the math for me. That's about 20,000 skills per customer?
Yes.
And what would the average employee population be? A couple of thousand?
Couple of thousand. I mean, we have some very large customers and some, there's a big range. Okay.
But 8-10 skills per employee, that sounds reasonable.
Yeah.
Okay.
It is. I mean, some have, you know, you can have, there's no limit. You can have a lot. It doesn't, we try to show kind of the most, the ones that have.
Sure, and yours would be a couple of hundred. Mine would be probably 2. So.
No, I think you wouldn't, like, you'd be off the page. So if you think about it from a design perspective and user experience, that's one thing we're always grappling with. Like, you know, how do we show that? How do we show the profile? How do we make sure that it's not overwhelming, but also, like, what are the most relevant ones that we need to put up front, and especially if we're looking at matching or setting up things like job requisitions.
Are you starting to learn if people are scheming because they show more skills, they'll be rated higher, or, you know, would be valued more? Or are you seeing any patterns of that, or still too early?
It's still too early to see that. I think where we're still seeing that while we're seeing the increase in skills coverage, there's still a challenge to get people to update their skills. And you know, the what's in it for them, I think needs to be more obvious. And I think that's where it shows up in the application. So if we think about internal mobility and the talent marketplace, you know, where if you have more skills, then, you know, chances are you'll get matched for a gig more readily. So I think, you know, we're not seeing any gaming quite yet, but I think people still need, I think organizations are still trying to show how there is value in folks adding their skills so that they can use them for matching purposes. And speaking of matching, on the, you know, you see Workday there is, you know, clearly we use our own products, and with the talent marketplace, one of the things we're seeing is participants are saying that they gain skills from gigs and experiences. And I think while the number is 80%, 100% said that they made new connections. So it's making connections in the organization as well. I think it is one of the nice things that we're seeing with that. Just some quotes here, from Patagonia's.
At the individual level, it seems manageable, 8 to 10, 15 skills, whatever, right? At the HR level, is anyone starting to pull their hair out saying, my God, it's already too many skills, or not yet?
Well, not yet. I think that's where giving them the ability to define things like categories and critical skills then allows us to, from a reporting perspective, right, being able to see that insight specifically, and not just kind of this jumble of like, here's all these skills. Like they're able to prioritize in terms of what they're looking at. So I think we're also looking at how do we do that more, and you'll see we're doing things in people analytics, which hopefully make it easier, right, for people to see the key information.
Are you finding more requests for technical skills or soft skills, or any of that pattern? Have you seen any of that?
We haven't seen that. We haven't seen that yet.
Okay.
Just some quotes from some customers in terms of how they're using it. I think figuring out creative ways for career advancement, and then the other is on recruiting, where I think that's the other where we've seen a huge interest in using skills for the recruiting process, and that's something we've introduced over the last year. Really quickly, when we think about just our customers are in different phases of their journey, I would say, in terms of skills-based transformation. And these three areas and kind of the way we think about investing in our skills, there's the foundation, which is, the ontology, I would say the service, the ability to infer, the service of converting text to skills and allowing for proficiency. So all that foundation work. The second is, how do you have that insight to be able to make those decisions? And that's understanding skill adoption and coverage. And I have an example of a solution that that's available to our customers to be able to understand that. Really getting down to what we're calling people analytics, right? And the work there. And then optimization, right? Continually using it throughout the application to help that experience that we create. But also when we think about upskilling and developing, skills really are the way that we feel we'll get there. And there's so much, you saw that talent lifecycle that I showed at the beginning. Skills can permeate all of that and really change our people practices over time. So where are we going next, and where are we investing in each of those areas? Foundation, insight, optimization. Skill level is an area that we're just, I would say it's new to us, and we're going to continue to enhance that. I think skills on jobs are really important. While we see work and being able we see kind of jobs and roles changing, there's still the job profile is still a way to group work together, and skills on job profiles to then allow us to figure out planning, and skills-based planning, I think becomes really important. So that's some of the work we'll be doing. And then we know that, our Skills Cloud, our ontology, we want it to be the center of Workday. We realize that there's other skills ontologies out there that our customers are using. And so how do we bring that in so that they can take advantage of all of that as well? So, bringing in third-party skills data is definitely one of the things that we are currently working on. In the area of reporting, people analytics, as I mentioned, and I actually have a screenshot of that I'll show you, and then planning based on skills. And then, to optimize is really just using it throughout our applications, continuing to help us create those great experiences.
Great.
So this kind of shows you what skill level looks like, where we can rate skills based on feedback, so people can give feedback and give a rating, and then we come in and show what that rating is. So that's the first way we're doing it. We're looking to bring assessments in as well to help with creating that skill rating, and then allowing you to decide who should be rating those skills. So new for us, and an area that we're going to continue to spend a lot of time in. In the area of solutions, I'm not sure if you're aware, Vinnie, we provide package solutions in the sense of we've created dashboards, reports, et cetera, and we make them available to our customers. So our customers can then take those and then build them into their applications. And we've done that with skills. And on the skill side, it's primarily around understanding adoption of skills. Like, are they using skills? Where do we see skills growing in an organization? Where do we see skills like diminishing or decreasing in an organization? And also understanding how they're using skills within the application, meaning, are they using things like Career Hub and Talent Marketplace so that they can understand adoption of skills in their organization. This will show you, I think this will run through, I'll let it go to the beginning there, but you're familiar with people analytics and the work we've done there. We're adding a skills topic for people analytics that'll allow us to explore skills by management level and job family group, where there are opportunities to upskill folks. What are the drivers, the average skills match? So for people in your organizations, are they matching the skills of the jobs that you have in your organization, or are there skills that you're missing? And obviously this will be dynamic based on what's going on in your organization. So we're excited to add that to our people analytics portfolio. And then just some of the areas where skills show up.
That leverages Prism, similar to some of the other tools like Vibe and so on, right? Yeah. Yes,
exactly. Yeah, exactly like Vibe. Well, I shouldn't say exactly like Vibe because it doesn't do the same thing, but Vibe and people analytics it's the same. It's our augmented analytics that we're using for that. In recruiting, so we have the candidate things that we're doing, suggested jobs to candidates based on skills that we have. We'll suggest skills to the candidates so they can make sure that their profile is up to date as part of their application. We suggest jobs for job requisitions. So again, making that process more skills based, and especially as we see people move more, or people trying to move to skills based hiring. Using skills in that talent acquisition process becomes very important, and making it easy to use.
This is where, we tried this first generation of machine learning, resume scanning, and so on, tried to do this, right? And it wasn't quite that successful, right? So what have you learned from that experience that it'll be better this time?
So, I mean, I think the technology is better first and foremost, right? Like, this isn't just, yes, it is. Essentially it's text to skills, right? Like if I look at somebody's resume, it comes in here, we'll look at it and we'll say, here's the skills that we think you have. But it goes a step further, right? Because if it converts those texts to skills, it will then say, if this is a skill you have, then you probably have this one too. Right. So it actually gives you a broader list and allows you to choose from a list.
The inference engine comes into play. Okay.
It's more sophisticated, right? So I think it gives you more information, but also we're giving them, the candidate, the opportunity to add to that list. So that, we'll say, we think you have those skills. They have to agree and say yes, but while they're doing that, they can add additional skills to the list. And then we take that and use it to recommend jobs, but also take other pieces of data as well, right? What jobs have they now applied for? Here are their skills. Well, let's recommend these jobs to them. And one of the other things we're most recently just released is what we're calling the candidate skills match. So when we think about recruiting today, hiring today, right? It's crazy. like so busy, so much going on. How do we help make that process a little bit easier? And with the candidate skills match, what we're doing is we're allowing recruiters to see, here are candidates that best match the skills that you've defined for the job. So you can define the required and ones that you desire, and then it will show you what the match is. And lots of work went into this for us. I would say, I just want to point out, very important as we think about the fact that we're using skills to help people find opportunity and employment, that bias and work around that becomes very, very important here. And we're very committed to ethical AI and making sure that we've considered it as we go,
Sure.
as we release these new capabilities. So that's just some examples of the skills match. And then in learning, we use skills to make recommendations for skills to develop, things that are popular in the role, related content, and then skills-based campaigns. So when we think about organizations trying to build skills in, having learning campaigns tied to, these are skills that the organization is trying to develop, and then tagging content, right? Suggestions based on skills. And I think this is my last slide, but I know you spent time with David Summers and talking about the talent marketplace and career hub. But when we think about internal mobility and skills, those are some of the vehicles that we use for that, where, the career hub is that career coach where I can come in, I can onboard, define, these are the skills that I'm interested in, and then it can share what mentors it might suggest, connections it might suggest, things in the talent marketplace. So which gigs might give me the experience or the skills, or which ones do I match to? So, this is kind of where it all comes together. And I think there's two parts here. There's the part of the employee and their development and growth, which is absolutely critical. But there's also, for the organization and their agility and meeting their outcomes, how do we make sure that we can use this also to suggest that these are skills that your organization is looking for or hiring for, so that you might think, all right, well, if I want to make sure in a world where there was so much change, I might want to broaden my portfolio of skills, right? And so these are the ones that seem to be.
So what's the biggest use case? Is it recruiting? Is it learning? What are you finding?
I would say recruiting is probably the top use case.
Especially now, right? As people are desperate.
Yes.
Okay.
But internal mobility is also another one that we see, where I think you can kind of see the relation there. Like, everybody needs talent, everybody's looking to hire, but they're not going to be able to hire them. So how do I make sure that I build it in my organization? Do I have it in pockets that I need to move people around, or how do I actually get them to develop? So I think it ultimately is, do I have the right talent to do the things that my organization is looking to do? And I think everybody is working hard to figure that out.
Okay.
So I think ultimately, I talked a little bit about where we started with the ontology, inference, and suggestions, where you can see kind of the applications that are powered by skills. We're working on skills ratings and analytics. And then ultimately, I think we like to say skills everywhere, where we're part of an ecosystem. How do we create that interoperability, I would say, with the rest of the skills out there, but helping to allow our skills and our skills graph and cloud.
I'm hearing everywhere from Workday quite often. I wonder why.
I know. I think maybe you're seeing a trend, right? That's a little bit openness, but understanding that there's a lot that we have to bring in to take advantage for our people and create the right experience with Workday Everywhere, which I think you saw that yesterday. But skills everywhere, we know that they will come from different places, and we want to make our skills graph and cloud as robust as it can be, so that our customers can do all the things that they're trying to do.
Fantastic. Thank you.
No, thank you.